that is arithmetic line graph. Now what is arithmetic line graph? This is very simple thing. This tells you that when we plot the graph either for any description or any variable, either for demand or supply or price or any variable, whatever we are showing, then we have to use OY and OX axis as you have been using for drawing the diagram. Now what is actually OY and OX axis? This is clear with the help of arithmetic line graph. Now first I will tell you what does it mean. It shows changes in one variable in comparison to the change in some other variable. So it involves two variables. Now what is line graph? It shows changes in one variable due to the change in or in comparison to the change in another variable. This means that there are two variables, one is independent and one is dependent. For example, here when we are taking marks and number of students, marks is independent variable and dependent variable is number of students. That means x and y, if suppose x is independent, y is dependent, then we say that x is dependent on y. X is independent variable and y is dependent variable. Same way, when we say that when price changes, demand also changes. So here demand is changing due to change in price. So which is the independent variable over here, price or demand? When we say demand is changing due to change in price, so demand is the dependent variable, and as price is responsible for change in demand, price is considered independent variable. So in this way the two variables are used in comparison, and this arithmetic line graph that involves two variables to show the comparison. Now we first see the format of line graph. Now on a graph paper, this is constructed on a rectangular coordinate. Now in the graph paper, we divide the axis to four parts like this. This makes four quadrants, four parts, quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now here this vertical is known as OY and this is called OX. When we move from here to here, all the values are positive. Same way when we move from here to here, this is 0. When we move from here to here, this side, right hand side, all the values are positive, as it is shown over here by plus sign. The other side, when we move from 0 to x, all the values are negative, and same way all the values are negative here. When we are plotting the graph, normally this is used because here x is positive as well as y is positive. When we make the graph, we are using OY, OX in which all the values are positive, and if we have to show any negative value, then we move this side. In the second quadrant, x is negative, y is positive, this is positive, this is negative. In the third quadrant, x is negative, this is negative, and y is also negative. And the fourth one, x is positive and y is negative. So in this only both the variables are positive. So these are four quadrants, and in these quadrants coordinated axis is right angle lines. All the right angle lines are known as coordinate axis. X axis is called, this is called abscissa, y axis is called coordinate axis, and point of intersection, this one is known as 0 point or point of origin. And here quadrant 1, both variables are positive values, quadrant 3 both variables are negative values, and in quadrant 2nd and 4th one variable has positive value and the other has negative value. So this is the arithmetic line graph, and on the basis of this we plot the values of different variables. Clear? After this, children, I will tell you one more thing which is the last part of this chapter, and this is line graph or time series graph, right? This is another form of diagram. Now time series graph, that means graph which is showing the time distribution, that is known as time series graph. The value of variables change from one time period to another. In this, especially the time period is taken into consideration. When with the help of graph we are showing the description of any particular time period, then time series graph is normally preferred for that. So in this, the value of variables change from one time period to another. Study of changes over time is time series analysis. When we study the changes over time, this is known as time series analysis, and information arranged over a period of time is termed as time series. Information gathered or arranged over a time period, that means time period means 2001, 2002, 2003, what are the values or what are the variables in different time periods, then it is known as time series. And when we are doing the study of the time series, then it is known as time series analysis. And the graph, when we are plotting the time series on a graph paper, then it is known as time series graph, right? Now I will give you the example, and with the help of example I will tell you how the time series graph is made. Here one distribution is about years. As it is a time series graph, then we have to take into consideration certain time period. This is years, and the second one is number of students. Now in a school, suppose in a particular year 2008 there were 50 students, 2009 150, 2010 100, and so on. This is the description of time period from 2008 to 2014 and the number of students in each year. We are supposed to plot the graph. Then again remember that years you will take on the x-axis because it is an independent variable, and number of students you will take on the y-axis, dependent variable. The number of students, as it is ranging from 50 to 200, we will divide the axis equally till 250, and years 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Now next step is plot the points. In 2008, how many students were there? 2008 there were 50 students. So this is the first point. 2009 150. This is 2009, total number of students 150. 2010 number of students 100. 11, this is 150. 2012 200. 2013 225. 2012 was 200, this one, then 225, then 2014 200. When we join these points with a free hand line or free hand curve, then we get the time series distribution of the variable. At a glance here you can make out in 2008 there were less number of children, then it increased, then it declined slightly, then it kept on increasing, and then slight decline. So this way you can read the graph on the basis of description given here in the data, and you can make the study or analysis. You can do the time series analysis on the base of this time series graph. Now what is the use of these time series graphs? Main two uses are here. Can compare present performance with the past. That means here you can compare the number of children or number of students of 2005 2014 with 2010. It was here and now 2014 it is here. You can compare whether it is increasing or decreasing. So, comparison of present with the past is easier with the help of time series graph. Similarly, second use is can make some future prediction on the basis of trend so far, which is called statistical forecasting. How you can make future prediction? When you see that it is increasing, after declining again it has started increasing, it is again declining. So, this shows that you can predict that what are the chances to be in the future. It may increase, but slightly it may decrease. So, on the basis of the trend or on the basis of shape of curve how it is moving, you can predict to some extent what can be the future trend, and this prediction is called statistical forecasting, because it is not an accurate thing, but you are just forecasting the statistical analysis. So, this is called time series graph. Okay children, now this chapter number 6, presentation of data, this is complete and it has covered all the diagrams. Okay, thank you very much.